What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today we're going to be talking about Sundial stock, TLRY, MJNA, Aurora Cannabis, Canopy Growth, and a bunch of cannabis stocks that have all been pumping up on some pretty big catalysts. All of these stocks are doing exceptionally well, and if you take a look at the charts, you'll see what I'm talking about. Sundial's up about 8% on the day, TLRY up 12.5%, MJNA up 15%, Aurora Cannabis up 12%, and Canopy Growth up almost 20%. So all of these stocks are pumping up. A lot of good news is coming into the sector and a lot of volume, a lot of retail activity, a lot of institutional investors are coming into this sector. A ton of people are starting to buy up stocks in the cannabis space. Now, potentially there are a bunch of politicians that are starting to buy up stocks as well. We won't know until they actually disclose what their buys have been, but there are some key reasons why these stocks are popping off. And we've talked about them on the channel before. There are some new developments, and the catalysts are only getting closer that we're expecting will be pumping these stocks up quite a bit. Now, what happened today is that the Senate has scheduled a cannabis hearing in committee chaired by Cory Booker. And there's a legalization bill set to drop any day. So we're expecting some real good news coming into the cannabis space very soon. Now, this cannabis bill, the legalization bill, is the one that we've been talking about that's been being drafted by Chuck Schumer. He's been working on this for a long time, trying to get support for it, and hopefully it will pass. Regardless of whether or not it passes, though, I would expect to see cannabis stocks moving up on the chance that it might pass. As you see more and more people getting excited for potential legalization, I would expect to see a lot of people investing in cannabis, and it will be very telling in a couple of months when we look back at all of this and what's actually gone on and see whether or not politicians were buying up cannabis stocks right now, whether they were buying them up a couple of weeks ago, or whether they start buying them up pretty soon. It'll be very interesting to see what goes on with that whole situation. Everybody knows Nancy Pelosi's a pretty good stock trader, so maybe she's been buying up some cannabis stocks. We'll see. Regardless, we also have some other good news for the cannabis space before we start talking about the potential delisting risk that Sundial has. The DC mayor has signed a bill providing workplace protections for cannabis consumers. This is good. Obviously, people in DC, the mayor even, are pretty prone to cannabis legalization. They're more willing to go along with it than people in other states potentially. And that's good because the Senate does reside in DC, right? The Senate is in Washington. And if people in DC are more likely to be thinking that cannabis is an acceptable substance and that people should be allowed to consume it, then that might leak into the senators' minds, right? The senators are really the ones that we care about legalizing this and voting yes on the bill. We already pretty much have the House set. The House has voted bills through before, but it's really the Senate that's blocking legalization at the moment. And then we'll see if anything can get to the president's desk, right? It would be interesting to see what Biden would do in a situation where he has to vote yes or no, or either veto the bill, right? If he actually has that power, it'll be interesting to see which way he uses it. Now, Sundial, obviously moving up today up 9%, very good to see. And it's important that Sundial's moving up because tomorrow, July 21st, is actually the last day that Sundial has before their meeting, before their annual meeting where they're going to vote on whether or not to do a reverse stock split somewhere in the range of either a 1 for 10 or a 1 for 25. So it's going to be a big reverse split potentially if Sundial shareholders vote yes to doing that reverse split. And obviously that wouldn't affect the fundamentals of the stock. It wouldn't affect the market cap of the stock. It would affect the float of the stock, and it would affect the share price. But we've already made a video on Sundial and the reverse split and how that would work. I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but it is notable that potentially, if this bill does get passed, it could potentially mean Sundial doesn't need a reverse split. So, if you see that shareholders have voted no to the reverse split, that they don't end up going through that, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean Sundial is going to get delisted for sure, because August 8th is the delisting deadline for Sundial, and this bill is likely to be introduced before then. At least that's what Chuck Schumer's promised. He said that he's going to get the bill introduced before August 8th, which is the Senate's recess, and so that could be pumping Sundial up maybe to $1. So it's going to be very interesting over the next couple of days watching what goes on with Sundial, as well as all these other cannabis stocks, TLRY, MJNA, Aurora Cannabis, Canopy Growth. There's a ton of cannabis stocks that could be pumping up. CLVR also. There's a ton of cannabis stocks that could be pumping up on this legalization news. It's huge news. You're seeing a lot of volume coming into the sector, and it's very exciting stuff. So we'll certainly be keeping an eye on it, keeping you guys updated on what new developments there are over the next couple of days. And if you guys want more of that, feel free to subscribe to the channel or like the video. And other than that, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Keep in mind, none of this is financial advice. And other than that, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.